Hey, this is Dave with Brazos Valley Barbell, and today we're going to talk about upper body hypertrophy and what we can do to maximize those and kind of the timing of what I'm doing right now. So right now I am right in the middle of, off-season training, if powerlifting really has that. I'm about 7 months away from Raw Nationals. There's a chance I do another meet here in a couple months, but I'm probably 50-50 on that one. But either way, I'm 7 months away from any sort of high priority meet where I really feel like I need to be at my best. So what I'm doing right now is I'm really investing some time into lower specificity, higher variation, a little bit higher volume, and just the goal of trying to build some muscle mass. So one of, I think, the main problems that really some newer lifters have, either competing too often or feeling like they need to be strong all the time. And what this does is for you really to be able to maintain your strength or represent those one rep maxes, you have to train pretty close to those heavier loads and practice the specific stuff of 90 plus percentile work. But that may not be very conducive to actually building muscle in the long run. Obviously, we can build muscle through heavier loads, but it may beat us up a little bit more. One of the main issues that I think I have with this would be or one of the advantages of actually creating a little bit lower specificity training and higher variation would be actually when we go back to specificity, we can get a little bit of a novel stimulus from the specificity because it's new again. We'll use the example of my bench press training right now, is that generally speaking, going into competitions, I may bench press 4, maybe even 5 times a week. Right now, I only have 1 day a week where I'm doing competition bench pressing. I am bench pressing twice a week, and then another upper body day that has no bench pressing. It's all overhead work. So more overhead work and kind of arm, shoulder work. And one of the reasons I do this is that I can focus on doing a lot of lifts, the overhead press or incline press or things like that I have to neglect a little bit during phases I'm close to my competition prep. I want to push those, but I need to make sure that I'm not challenging them in a way that really affects my actual bench press volume. So right now, I'm not really concerned specifically with my bench press performance. I'm still using bench press as a tool to build the muscles that make my bench press stronger, but I'm doing it in variations that are a whole lot more challenging for me. So one of the things I've been posting frequently on my Instagram, I guess, would be the feet up bench. And that one is a very useful tool, I think, for most powerlifters, especially people who have a really big arch. So I don't know that I have a tremendous arch, but I do a good job of setting myself in a position that I get a lot out of leg drive. I sink the bar into my chest, and I'm pretty explosive with my bench press. I also use a tempo on the way down that's relatively quick. So a lot of times I'd say I'm skipping the bottom portion of the movement either by descending very quickly or on the way up by using some body to get some pop. So the two variations I'm doing right now would be the slender man press, I've been calling it, but the feet up bench and some tempo benches, tempo work, where I'm controlling it, 3-4 seconds all the way down to my chest, really to build some of the musculature, but also to help make sure that things are strong all the way through the range of motion and help prevent injury. I have had some issues with bicep pain, with pec pain, and actually this has been one of the strategies that's really, really helped me with that, in that when I can, I do a little bit more variation. I get strong through those bottom ranges of motion so that everything, all the supporting musculature is healthy enough to handle that work. So building up the volume through some variation is a big deal. Also, you're building up musculature that you don't normally train, being like the shoulders, specifically the shoulders, triceps and those kind of things. Front delts are a big one that we get from things like incline press that really, really help get that bar moving off your chest. So we can invest time that we don't have in other places. So outside of that, I can actually do a lot more work that I don't do going into meets for my upper back. One of the biggest ones that I really stopped doing close to meets, or two of them, would be bent over rows and chin-ups. Both of those tend to beat my elbows up, where the chin-ups particularly beat my elbows up, and then the bent over rows is just more lower back volume that tends to mess with my lower body training. But both of these do have a really big effect for me in my upper back strength, my musculature. So again, right now, I'm not as concerned with maintaining full output all the time. So I'm adding in some variations that are more challenging from upper back, and hopefully getting some stimulus where I'll switch away from those hard variations, getting closer to competition. So what I want to, I guess, encourage new lifters to do is actually invest in spending some time where you're not feeling 100% strong, where you really invest in doing reps and almost treating yourself kind of like a bodybuilder, where you get a whole lot more muscle. And then as I get close to the competition here, and I'll start getting a little bit more specific as we go in, but I'll maintain this variation for a couple more months and then start increasing specificity, and should hopefully see some of the more gains than I would have otherwise without putting in time into investing in muscle. So an easy way to, just anecdotally, is if you look at all the top of the weight classes, those guys are exceptionally muscular. You're not going to see, the top 5 guys and one of them looks like kind of a slob up there. So the guys that do the best are going to be the guys who pound for pound have the most muscle. So investing time in that when you have the opportunity and you don't necessarily need to be strong is a big deal. So some of my favorite ones for upper body hypertrophy, like I said, is the feet up bench, incline benching, some tempo work, really just high rep bench press, close grip bench, and then obviously the further removed variations like the dumbbell work, overhead press, barbell overhead press, and things like that. But lots of upper back volume. I don't think that there needs to be a huge change, I guess, in the movements that you're doing. I generally tend to do harder movements right now, being like the barbell rows or T-bar rows and chin-ups and those kind of things where closer to competition. I do a lot more just like lat pull downs or cable work, seated rows. So hopefully that's helpful. If we have any questions about that, feel free to leave me a comment, send me a message, and we'll see you next time.